Hello, Oversharers. Welcome back to another episode of the Overshare Hour. We are so excited to be here for our super exciting Reddit episode. Burr, burr, burr.
Yay! I love these episodes. They're so much fun.
So fun. So we have wine in hand. Wait, do we have wine in hand?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Right here.
I was like, we definitely do. Okay. We have wine in hand because this is our little fun episode and we love you guys so much. We can't wait to do it. Okay. So, Jubi, how are you doing? Just a little recap of where you're at.
In
and then
life?
We'll get started. Yeah.
Doing
generally.
really well. Actually,
Yay!
I've had like a few things as far as business and content go well, got a brand deal, thank God. And it's really going to help us pay off debt faster. So there's that.
Yay.
And then also just been working on my book and some encouraging signs that maybe someday my dream will be a reality. So very exciting.
Yes, I'm so excited for you. Yeah, so stay tuned for all of the amazing book talk. Okay, so I'm doing good. So last week I was like having my PMDD horrible thing. I got better from that, and then the little boy that I nanny sneezed inside of my mouth, and so I was down and out and sick all weekend. He had a sickness, like he sneezed because he was ill, and then I contracted the illness for however illnesses this is this year. Like I feel like I've been sick since November. So I was sick all weekend, like literally like fever, in bed, sick. But today I woke up on Monday and I felt kind of crappy this morning and then slowly just started feeling better and better throughout the day, like more like myself. And like, so now I feel like that joy of, when you've been sick for a really long time and then you start to feel better and you're just like, oh, I'm a human. Because when you're sick, you think it's going to last forever. So I was like, okay, well, it's been like 2 weeks of me feeling really bad. And now I feel like Kenzie again. So I'm glad we're doing this episode tonight because I'm like here for it.
Yay. Oh my gosh.
Yay.
Well, I'm so excited. I always look forward to these.
Me too.
Can I start us off?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to take a sip.
Okay, this is a little bit of a game. Try to not throw up. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Do your best. Okay, this is coming from Relationship Advice.
Okay.
The title is, I, 25 female, saw my boyfriend's 29 male locker room talk with his friends, and I can't see him the same.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm already about to throw up. Okay, go.
Yeah. Been together almost 4 years, and he has been very good to me, never a wandering eye, no cheating scares, doesn't watch porn, never told him not to, but he has specific values against it, etc. This was huge to me as I've been cheated on a couple times in the past and have a lot of trauma around it. So when we started dating, we had multiple conversations, and he conveyed multiple times that he has values against sexualizing women. I understand, obviously, people can still find others attractive, though. Anyway, I saw this text exchange between him and his friend from around 2 years ago, and my partner was describing these students in his class and how hot they are, 10 out of 10s, and how when they were doing camel poses in front of him, he's barely unable to look and just going on and on being descriptive about their bodies. Mind you, these girls are in high school. The absolute shock that I felt after that, the way that he was talking, it didn't even sound like him. It sounded like someone I didn't know. There were times, for example, my friend got cheated on, and I saw some red flags because of how her ex would openly sexualize women, etc. He would immediately jump in and say, yeah, that's wrong and disrespectful, and only weak men do that, blah, blah, blah. He conveyed that he was this very moral person. I even once joked to him about locker room talk, and he swore up and down that his friends never talk like that, only for it to seem that he only ever said what I wanted to hear. I talked to him about it, and he said he has grown so much since then, and it's not a consistent thing and was just a specific friend group that he's grown out of. But I also feel kind of grossed out, and I don't know if I can see him the same. Am I being dramatic?
Oh my gosh.
Dude. I don't know. Is she being dramatic?
No, they are minors.
I know.
Like literal children. Okay, so I would be floored by this. It would be really shocking to me if I were to find text messages like this between my fiance and someone else, no matter what, right? Like if you think that your partner is one way and then you see them in a different light, it's hard to unsee that, especially when it's so counter to what they've presented to you for the entire time that you've been together. So that would be a hard pill to swallow, even if it weren't minors and they were just objectifying women, which I think would be really hard. It's like a work environment, right? Or like it's like this environment where you're literally working with these people, minors or not, and you're just talking about them that way. Like I can see how she would be, it would take her a while to get over that and heal from that. But minors, absolutely not. Run for the hills. Definitely not okay. I don't think that that's something that I would be willing to see my partner grow from or trust that they've grown from. Like that would just be a deal breaker for me. I think that that is like, I mean, obviously that's illegal and it could be reported. So for me, absolutely not. What do you think, Juby?
Absolutely not. Run for the hills. Gosh, I'm so icked out by
No.
these are minors, and I feel like maybe
Yeah.
she does understand that it's not okay, but I'm like, I think you're underreacting
Yes.
to this information because these are not only minors, but they're like his students. He's in this
Yep.
position of power. It's like all of the creepy youth pastor stories that I read. I was like, I have to read this one.
Literally.
Um, Absolutely not. And do you
Mm-mm.
remember? I don't remember if we've shared it before, but it all comes back to that friendship. That friendship
That one.
with Crystal and her husband at the time. He was such a bizarro man,
Yep.
and there was a time where we all went to bed and he was up with my little sister, and they were up talking about music until 5 or 6 in the morning, which this is not super abnormal for us. We're like that. Some of us stay up
Yeah.
later and some of us go to bed. But during this conversation, he mentioned how it was so hard for him to be around teenage girls when he worked in a school. And
Nope.
that like, oh, he joked, I had to get out of there, because there was just too much temptation. And he
Nope.
said that to my sister when she, at the time, was a minor. So
Yeah.
she's in high school. She's listening to this man say, I was tempted by these girls. I feel like he was trying to come on to my sister.
Yeah.
Because he was just an ick man. So in my mind, I'm reading this and I'm thinking, this is so that class of person that we're talking about
Yes.
here. So I went back to look at the timeline because I'm like, okay, could and I can't even say this with a straight face. Could any sort of argument be made that so much time
Like
has
in his
passed?
favor. Yeah.
Yes, but no. So they've been together for 4 years, and this was 2 years ago. So,
What?
yes, she said
So
that
they've been together.
yes, yeah, 2 years ago. So this is while they were dating.
Not just while they were dating, but 2 years deep into this relationship. That's
Yes.
a long time.
And also imagine, okay, take the minors out of it, which, we'll bring that back in because we're not going to take
Yeah.
that out of it. But if I discovered that Bran was talking about objectifying, not even just saying like, oh, I'm struggling because like this girl's pretty, which also would kill me.
Yeah, that'd be hard.
But like objectifying women, being like,
Mhm.
oh, I was at this yoga class with Jubi and there were just so many like hot women around. Oh, hell no. Like, I would
No.
lose my mind. So, but this is minors in high school.
Mm-mm.
Um, the other thing that huge red flags, it says that when they first started dating, they had multiple honest conversations and conveyed that he had values against sexualizing women.
So those conversations
Were a
happened within
lie.
the first 2 years of their relationship. Like, they were already happening
Yeah. So, like, he
while he
was
was having these.
presenting this. Like, he's presenting it as, I am this very moral person, and then 2 years into the relationship, he's chatting up with his bros.
Yeah, he was totally faking her.
Yeah.
That
Ugh.
is crazy. And then, honestly, how do we feel about his apology? Because it wasn't even a real. He's like, oh, that's sad, but I've grown from that and I'm not friends with those people anymore. He didn't even take accountability.
I
He's
know, he
basically like,
didn't.
oh, well, I only said that because I was friends with those guys.
Oh, and the top comment, someone said, "Wait, is he a teacher talking about his students?" And
Yep.
And OP responded, "He was a substitute teacher."
Oh,
Ooh, other top comment, "You aren't mad enough." Yes.
yes,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah, she needed to, like, leave
Immediately.
immediately. Mhm.
That is so
Holy
gross.
shit, that's insane.
Yeah.
Nope.
I don't even know that I would really have a conversation. I'd be like, "Well, I'm out because 'cause you're a
Yeah.
predator." So,
Yeah. Yeah,
we're
you don't
done
just
here.
grow out of that. Underreacting for sure. Run for the hills.
Yeah. So not the
Wow.
asshole, not overreacting.
Nope, definitely not. Okay. You ready for mine?
Yes.
Okay. So this one says, "Am I the asshole? My date's older sister is strict and I have an issue with her questions." Okay.
Okay.
Strict sister. Okay. Hi, all. I'll make this as quick as possible. I'm female 21, started seeing this guy, male 21. We've been on several dates and we have really started to like one another, but we agreed to take things very slow. He's very open with his family and friends about how he feels about me. No complaints there. However, he has a sister, 33 female, who is known for being strict and having lots of opinions, which I understand. My 32-year-old sister is the same way. But it gets old when I'm an adult and getting questioned for little things. She doesn't like that I stay out late with friends and asks why I do that. He said when she meets me, she'll ask me straight up how much money I make. I'm a freshly new cosmetologist. My income varies, so it really depends on the month. I pay my own bills, high credit score, car paid off, and pay rent, so I feel like it shouldn't matter my annual income. I felt like that's a very inappropriate question to ask. She recently asked him, why am I dating around again if I was so hurt by my last relationship? I wanted to snap when he told me that, but I chose to stay as calm as possible. I'm the youngest of three. It's hard to be seen as an adult sometimes, so I get questioned a lot and have learned from therapy it's a trigger for me. I told him in a respectful manner that it's not her business in the slightest why I'm dating again or for how long I've been single. He said his sister is like his second mom. Her opinion matters a lot to him. She says we're moving too fast. However, to me, it made me truly upset that she has so much influence on him. I'm having second thoughts about this if I'm already dealing with problems like this. Him and I are somewhat butting heads due to the issue. He understands my frustration, but for how long? Could I possibly be overreacting? Am I the asshole? Are those normal questions to ask?
Ooh. Ok, I fear I would not handle this well. I think it's crazy to ask somebody, "How much money do you make?" when you first meet them, because what is that saying about I don't know, it just feels like you're a really judgy person. Why is that
Yeah.
the first thing that you care about when you're meeting somebody who your sibling obviously really cares about and they're dating and you're serious and wow. I feel like I would only ever and have only ever asked how much people pay for rent if I'm, like, curious in comparison to my rent and only, like, close
Yes.
friends.
Yep.
But I'm never like,
But
"How
not
much
as like,
money do you make?"
yeah. And not as like a judgment of them, just
I
a
know.
curiosity. Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, my friends will ask me how much I pay rent to my apartment, and I'm like, "Oh, that's
Hmm.
fine," because they might wanna move here, but
Yeah.
to ask somebody about their income, especially when you're first meeting them and that made me so mad, the asking, like, "Why do you stay out so late?" and being judgy
Yeah.
about that. Isn't OP, like, 21 years old?
She is.
She can go out with her friends!
Yep. She can do
Oh
whatever she
my
wants.
gosh, she can do whatever she wants. Ooh, okay. I don't feel like I could handle that dynamic long term,
Hmm.
especially if the guy is telling her that she just needs to deal with it and that this is how much I respect my sister and this is the place that she has in my life and she's going to ask you all these questions and even if it makes you uncomfortable, get with the program. She's like my second
Yeah.
mom and that's not to say that him or the sister are evil or anything like that. I can think of some people in my life who would genuinely not be bothered by this sort of dynamic. I'm not one of them. I would feel super judged and uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
especially if I felt like my partner wasn't sticking up for me. Oh, and the
Hmm.
shaming of why are you dating already if you were so upset?
Weren't you heartbroken
Ugh.
over your last breakup?
Yeah, and hot take, in-laws matter, guys. Not to say that you need the best in-laws ever. I will say
Yeah.
though, if you're gonna be with somebody whose in-laws are tough, hopefully you guys are on the same page on how to
Yep.
put up boundaries. And it doesn't sound like that's really the dynamic here. So I would have a conversation with the boyfriend again and say, this is really how I'm feeling and it's weighing really heavy on me. And I personally don't know that I can handle this dynamic and those sorts of pointed questions. I feel like there has to be some sort of boundaries, especially because it sounds like OP is doing really well in life, especially for being 21,
Yeah.
definitely doing more than I was doing at 21. So that's that is really rough and I don't know that I could handle it. What about you, Kens?
No, totally. I think for me, when you said you have people in your life that could handle that dynamic, I was like, I cannot even imagine handling that dynamic. But it's a trigger for me. So I have um had 3 different experiences with people that I've dated where I felt like family members or close friends were kind of placed on that pedestal of like, you have to get through this person to get to me
Ooh.
type of scenario, or like pass the test and then the prize will be on the other side and that'll be dating me. And I've just never been okay with that because it made me feel like I wasn't dating adults. Does that make sense? I
Mhm.
was like, if you need someone to judge the person for you and then give you the go ahead to date them, then that doesn't reflect well on you because you need to be able to feel secure in your own choices and make them regardless of what anybody else thinks of you. So I dated this girl one time who had a very close relationship with her sister. I'm going to tell a story. And I always got a weird vibe from the beginning. I knew that they were, and I do want to say I respect people and cultures who have a very close knit family that is different than how individualistic my relationship is and my culture is with my family. So I understand that there's differences, right, and closeness and how much value you place on their opinions. Like I totally understand that. But when it comes, it bleeds into like they're just kind of looking to the other person to make their decisions or judge people for you. I think that is where it really bothers me. So I was dating this girl. She was really close to her mom and her sister, and she lived out of town. So we had like a long distance relationship. Well, she came into town. This is the first time that she had come into town since like the first time we saw each other in person and started dating. Okay. So she comes into town. She invites me over to her apartment where she lives with her mom and her sister because she doesn't live there, right? Like where she stays when she's home. And I am there in the morning. Okay. I get there. Her mom makes us breakfast. Okay. So we're eating breakfast. It's like really nice and lovely with her mom. Her sister is not around. She's like in the bedroom. She comes out after we eat breakfast and she's like, okay, what should we say this person's name is? Melissa. Let's say that my girlfriend's name was Melissa. Okay, Melissa, it's time to go take my car to get serviced. And Melissa looks at me and was like, okay, well, I'm going to go with my sister to take her car to get serviced. Like, you'll be okay here, right? Mind you, like, I didn't have a car with me. Like, I had been driven there and I was by myself with her mom, who I'd never met, in the apartment, and they left. They were gone for hours. I was there all day waiting for them to come back the
No.
whole day. And I stayed. This was a while back. Okay. But I stayed the whole day because I was like, I feel weird just leaving. And like, I was talking to her mom and I was like, well, I don't want to make her mom feel weird that I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to go now. So I was there for hours until they finally came back. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to freak out because I've barely been dating this person. Like maybe it's a miscommunication. Like I don't know how they roll in their life. This is just not how I roll. So I brought it up and I was like, "Hey, I'm not really okay with that. Like you could have let me know and asked me if I wanted to come with you." And she said to
Yes.
me, yeah, and she said to me, "Oh, well, I understand, but it's really important to me that I get that time with my sister since I'm not here very often."
Sorry, I made the worst face just now. No, but that's so disrespectful to you
I know.
because she had you go out there and then
I know.
be
I was
like,
like, what do you mean? I'm at your house with your mom, whom I've never met. Like, what do you mean? Like, that's fine. Take your time with your sister, but don't leave me at your apartment while you go do it. Right. It was just this weird, like,
mhm.
well, my sister comes first. And that proved to be true and ultimately was like a huge sore spot. And I was kind of like, good luck to whoever tries to like marry that person because they're always going to come second. Does that make sense? Like, it came to this point where I was like, they're always going to come like a little bit beneath sister. Um, Also, Jubi, we know someone who was very protective over someone that I dated. Maybe you'll remember who this is. I'm not gonna I'm just gonna keep names out of it. We'll just talk about the story. So I dated this person, and um the the family member, they wasn't a sister, but they were like a sister, like really close, was very protective of the person that I dated. And she was like, hated me, never met me, called me a bitch. When I first met her, do you remember this, Juby? I met her and she was like picking apart everything that I wore. She looked at my eyebrows and she was like, "Oh, you don't pluck your eyebrows yet. That's cute." And I was like, Meanwhile, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I still don't pluck my eyebrows." And she was like, "Oh, that's funny. Those are the shoes that you wear. That's so cute." But I knew all of the things that she was saying about me behind my back, which is like calling me a bitch and saying if she ever does anything, I'll, hurt her or whatever. And this person carried in their car an 8x10, full 8x10 photo of this person that I dated's face and hung it on their rearview mirror.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yes, like literally an 8x10 photo of this person's face and had it hanging on the rearview mirror. And I was like, this is borderline obsessive, which is
It's so
why.
weird.
Yeah, and I would talk to the guy that I was dating and I'd be like, "Is this weird?" And he kind of was just like, "She just really loves me. We're just really close." Like there was just this familial like, ooh, and we were really young then, so I think it's a little bit different. When you like bleed into adult territory, I feel like it's a hard no. Um, I'm sure he's probably grown out of that by now. I'm just saying like when we were kids, but I took that with me into all of my years of dating of just being like this type of situation gives me the ick and I don't want to date anyone. I want to date someone who loves the people in their life but doesn't put them in a hierarchy above the person that they potentially want to marry and spend the rest of their life with. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Like I don't want to be
Well,
stuck in this
yeah.
place.
Well, you also want to have some level of just respect. Like leaving
Yeah.
you to be there with her mom is so rude. Like that's so rude based on like your timing, like
I know.
um and okay, so I was trying to piece together what we were talking about and then once you said the eyebrows, I was like, "Oh,
I
I
know.
got you." No, that was crazy. Guys, I need you to understand that this person was like her eyebrows are so effing ugly. I mean,
Yep.
so horrendously rude to Kenzie.
Hmm.
And it was this very weird, protective. I don't know. Do you have feelings here? What the heck
Yes.
is
Like,
going on?
are you in love with them?
Yes, and they call it, very enmeshed, very
Hmm.
not great, uncomfortable,
Yeah.
uncomfortable feelings for sure. So
Yeah. It just feels to me like sisters who have maybe always been close to their baby brothers, which is amazing, but also have maybe always felt like they're the number one woman in their life. And then they feel like that spot is challenged and they don't want to give that up. And so it feels like mean girl behavior, not like actual true love for their brother behavior. Does that make sense?
yeah, and you can get that
Yeah.
with boy moms too. Have you seen any of those
Totally.
videos?
It's
Oh my
weird.
gosh, any of those videos on TikTok where these boy moms they're like playing with their son who's like 1 year old, right? And
Yeah.
they put text on the screen that says that they're gonna beat up whatever girl dates him someday or something. And I'm like, you're so weird for thinking about that.
Yes,
And
like that's weird.
it's weird, guys. You should be happy for your kid to date someday. And why do you already hate all of the women that he might love someday? That's
Yeah,
very strange.
it
Odd
is.
behavior.
And if you think about it, if you think about it, I feel like it's kind of the opposite when it comes to like dads and their daughters. There's that very like protective, like, you know, definitely going to protect him with the shotgun one day whenever a guy comes to the door. And it's like, why is there that immediate reaction to our children? But I've never thought that once about my daughters. It's never even crossed my mind.
Yeah,
It's weird.
it is
So
weird.
weird.
I also did want to share a quick story. Doesn't really have to do with this at all, other than it has to do with a
Okay.
sister. So, a lot of people always ask for tattoo story times. So, one of my tattoos was because I had a situationship at Bethel, and it was with a guy, let's call him Joseph. I was with a
Okay.
guy, Joseph. We dated for about 5 months, and it was this weird he would take me out on dates, so it was more than just a situationship, you know? We were going out
Okay.
on dates, we just weren't official yet, and we were exclusive, which we had that talk of, well,
Did
then
you say
if
were?
we
You were
were.
okay, okay.
So I was like, "Well, if we're exclusive, why are we not boyfriend and girlfriend? I don't really understand." And he said something to the effect of, "Well, whatever girl I date next, she will be my wife. So that's why."
Ah.
I'm like, "Okay." So
So
we
all of the benefits of dating, but not actually dating. Got it.
absolutely. And also looking back on this relationship, creepy. He was 26 and I was 19, you know.
Oh,
So I also think he knew that it looked bad that I was so young.
yeah.
And that's why he didn't want to tell his family, like, hey, I'm dating a 19-year-old. And I was loosely acquaintances with his sister because she also went to Bethel.
Oh.
And there was one time where I happened to be at a house gathering with his sister, and she at the time was giving a ton of these like stick and poke tattoos.
Shut up. I don't know the story, Juby.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So this was so funny. She was giving stick and poke tattoos. So if you don't know, you literally get a needle. We went to Michael's and got India ink, and she dips it in and she just stabs you repeatedly with this needle and gives you a tattoo that has little dots to create something.
Oh my gosh.
So here I am, like 19 years old, thinking, if this girl gives me a tattoo, we're bonded. I'm gonna be like, look at me and your sister, we're friends. So cringy.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was a baby. So yeah, I thought, oh, this'll like look good because I'm bonding with his sister. Don't you want to marry me? LOL. So I let
Were
her
you, like,
give.
really feeling this guy?
Yeah. But I mean, in hindsight, I look back and I've loved a few people in my life and I definitely didn't love him. You
Yeah.
know, I was
Yeah.
infatuated with him at the time. So yeah, she gave me a tattoo and she actually gave me another tattoo a couple months later because she was just tattooing all of the Bethel people. So I have this random cross on my ankle and then on my other ankle, she gave me a key tattoo.
Did she know that you were talking to her brother at all?
Yeah, I think she did. Yeah, she knew that we
Okay.
were dating, and it's so funny. You know how I always hop on the TikTok trends? There was
Yeah.
one last year, I think, that was it was about something embarrassing that you did. So I did this TikTok trend of, oh, so embarrassing. I got a tattoo to prove to a guy that I was buddy buddy with his sister. And she saw the post, Mackenzie.
No, she didn't. Did she, like it or anything?
Yeah, she commented. She was like, oh my God, this is so funny.
She's like, "This is me." Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
No, she's cool. She's sweet. Yeah. So we've like connected on social media and stuff. But yeah, I died. I was like, no way she found this in the wild of TikTok.
I
That's crazy.
love that. Oh my god.
All right. Are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
All right. As a mother, I'm curious what you will say to
Oh,
this one.
okay,
This is from Am I the Asshole?
okay.
Am I the Am I the asshole for not watching my best friend's toddler when she went into labor?
Oh, I don't know. Let's hear the story.
Okay. All right, so let me set the scene first. I had a best friend, and we both had our babies close together. I babysat hers for the first year of their life and then went back to work. But I almost always made myself available to watch her if anything was ever needed and was always there for them. So it was my oldest child's birthday, and we had a whole week of fun and events planned for them. Family was coming into town, the whole shebang. It was several weeks before my best friend was due with her second, and I let her know, hey, you need to find another option for this time frame as I'm unavailable if you happen to go into labor. I'd also like to note that her toddler just tested positive for COVID. So, of course, during the week of my oldest birthday extravaganza, her water breaks. Now, as I stated before, I had previously let her know that I would not be available during that week as we had non refundable things planned and family out of state here. Some of my family visiting also has autoimmune things and avoid being around people when they are sick as it hits them very hard. So I reiterated to her that I was unavailable and what was the plan. She had no plan at all. but I was not going to ruin the prior planned birthday week for my oldest child's birthday due to her poor planning skills. I did not watch her toddler, and her husband had to miss the birth of their second child, which is also their last child, and it was a C section. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for not watching her toddler when she went into labor?
Holy shit. This is horrible. I would love to know if the friendship survived that because I can imagine that'd be really hard. And no, she's not the asshole.
Yeah.
At all, actually. That's a very unfortunate situation that would be a sore spot, I think, for the woman who went into labor, didn't have her husband there with her, and uses the friend as the scapegoat for all of those negative feelings. But she, first of all, being the best friend doesn't mean that you are automatically free labor whenever your friend needs it, no matter what. And she already told her ahead of time, I won't be available. So if she had abandoned the plans, put her family at risk of illness, um, basically prioritized her friend and her friend's child above her own, that would be, I would say, the unhealthy choice, in my opinion. So, no, I think that the friend, first of all, though, or I was thinking, why is this person the only person that they can rely on? That's really hard. I guess this person is maybe like from out of town and doesn't have family around or isn't close to family. But when you are in that type of situation where you're like, either my friend watches the baby while I go into labor, or my husband doesn't get to see my child be born, I would say it would be pretty high on my priority list to like find a sitter for that week, like just to make sure I had someone that could be on call. So she didn't do that, and that's on her. But I would like to know, like, was there any follow up on how that situation worked out?
No, but the post
No.
started
Want want.
that I had a best friend. So I'm
Ah,
wondering if it didn't turn out in a good way. I obviously can imagine that it would be a sore spot for a long time for the friend who's,
totally.
I mean, I cannot imagine giving birth via C-section alone. That's
Yeah, that's
that's
hard.
horrible. That's horrible, but at the end of the day, you're right that she didn't do anything wrong. She gave her all of
Mm-mm.
that time in advance and said, "Listen, I'm not gonna be able to do it." And it's not just the friend's fault, it's also the friend's husband's fault. It's both of their faults. Like,
Totally.
they're grown adults, go on care.com, find
Yep.
a sitter, have them come at least once in advance, that way you meet them,
Yeah.
and then they can stay overnight. People do that. I've
Yeah.
stayed overnight before, and that's horrible. I mean, they must be from out of town, is what I'm thinking. They must have moved to that state to not have
Yeah.
anybody to help them out. Um, but man, that's unfortunate. And also the fact that her toddler had COVID. I mean, what do you expect her to do? You expect her to like
Yeah.
take your kid who has COVID and infect all of her family members and her child on her child's birthday?
Yeah.
That's not a fair ask. It's
No.
not. But you know what's
No.
so funny? The way
What?
that if I were OP, I would have been so tempted to swoop in though. I actually don't know that I would
Would you
have.
have?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
No, and I'm not saying I'm right. I would have no
Yeah.
obligation to do that, and OP had no obligation to do that, but I'm such a in cases of emergency, especially like when it comes to
Yeah.
birth and funerals and people being really sick, I'm very much like an all hands on deck like problem solver. So I'm trying to think what I would do, and I would probably I might have paid for a sitter. I might have been like, "Let me call my sitter and I'll arrange it. My friend will just pay me back when she has time," or something like that. Or I'm even thinking, would I have asked Bran to like watch this kid? I mean, I might have
Yeah.
because it's such a hard situation, but also that wouldn't be fair. Yeah, that wouldn't be fair because your child deserves to have their
It's your
parents
child.
there. So, yeah, I think the people pleaser in me would have a hard time knowing that anything on my end contributed to that, but it's totally valid and wrong
Yeah.
that the friend didn't take any initiative to solve it herself because they're adults. Like if this is their second kid, they're old enough to know how to find a sitter, and or at least express their needs. I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
they went to the friend and say, "Hi, we can't afford a sitter. Like we are actually really struggling," or something like that. It doesn't sound like anything like that was communicated.
Yeah. I think I also am a people pleaser by nature, but that's something that I've really like I think what has happened to me is I've become extremely triggered by being used. And so because I've like even like with family and like my mom and just lots of different scenarios of feeling like because I am the person who will always go, then I'm always the backup plan. I feel that way even in my professional life. Like it's like if I don't draw boundaries, then it's like people see the energy in me and then they just like feed off of it. So I've gotten to this place in my life where I still struggle with certain boundaries, but I also am kind of like, no, not my responsibility. However, I feel like that's mainly um or I feel like it's that protective element is even more so when it has to do with like my time with my kids. So I think that's where I truly feel even if it was you, Jubi, if it was like between my child and your child, while you would still struggle, you would have to choose your child. And I think that the only difference is that I would be understanding of that. I think you would also be understanding of that on the other end. But I think like that's what's not being seen is that this woman's like, but I had to give birth, without my husband there. And this woman's like, yeah, but if I had taken care of your child, I would have missed my entire family coming in town and my daughter's birthday or my child's birthday. And I feel like that's also really important. So I don't know. I feel like it was an unfair ask, and you're totally right. Care.com is a thing. I do think maybe people feel uncomfortable, like with using people that they don't know, but that's life. You have to. So
Mhm.
I don't know. That's sad that that relationship ended. Okay, are you ready for the next
Okay.
one?
Yes.
Okay. It says, am I the asshole? My mom left my 5-year-old child unattended ish.
Okay. I'm curious
Okay.
what ish means.
Okay. It says, my mom typically sees my kid twice a year, was in charge of my daughter, 5, while I was on a work Zoom. I was upstairs, locked in a bedroom. About 1 hour into the call, my daughter is crying, knocking, begging for me to open the door. I ignored, assuming my mom would handle it. But eventually, it didn't stop, so I opened the door and asked my daughter where her grandma was. My daughter said that she didn't know and that she had left. My mom just walked out the door and drove away to run an errand without a word, assuming that my daughter would, one, not leave the house, and two, I would open the door. My mom was gone for 1 hour. I did confront her when she finally came home, and she essentially gaslit me, telling me she was sorry I was scared, but she knew my daughter wouldn't have left my door. After that, I told my dad, who I've always had a good relationship with, that my mom was negligent and I basically didn't want to see them again for a long time. She was honestly not a great mom, and I have a lot of resentment toward her, so I need a gut check. Am I overreacting, or am I right to basically never want her alone with my child ever again?
Valid. Valid
Oh,
AF.
what do you
Okay.
mean?
I feel that I would never ever let me tell you, I'm quick to say stuff like that though. When it comes to our future kids in certain situations, I'm like, absolutely not, and I feel
Yeah.
strongly about that. And leaving your child and assuming that she'll just be fine is crazy when she's 5
Yep.
years old, and without any sort of communication, and the fact that the mom, I'm sure that she's thinking, "Well, you were home. It's not like I
Yep.
left her alone." Well, but listen, you were the adult in charge, which let's get into the adult in charge.
Yes, the adult in charge.
Guys,
Get into it.
we're gonna tell you guys about one of the most dramatic things that's ever happened
Oh
to
my
us.
god. Seriously.
We had a get together type of vacation with our group of friends,
Mhm.
and our friends all have children as well. So it was kind of like kids plus everybody. And Gosh, what even happened, Kenzie? We had a pool at this
Yeah.
Airbnb that we had got, and one of the children started drowning in the
Mhm.
pool, and it was one of the scariest things that had ever happened. I was upstairs, I believe, when this was happening.
I was not present. I wasn't outside, so I didn't know at the
Yeah,
time.
I wasn't outside. I just remember looking down from my window upstairs. But basically, there was a miscommunication because we had come back from the beach. So
Mhm.
a bunch of the kids ran to the pool, and people thought that there was an adult in that area, which there was. One of us was in that pool area with the kids, but that person didn't realize that they were, quote
They
unquote,
were
the adult in charge. Okay.
yeah.
So then he ends up leaving because another adult had entered the area, but he was just bringing in stuff from the pool. So he wasn't planning on staying. He was just going back and forth from his truck. But the other adult left. So then all of a sudden, there's no adults in this
Yep.
area, and there was a miscommunication on which adult is watching these children. And then the 5-year-old started to drown, and thank God he was okay, and thank goodness they saw. But this led to a huge screaming argument where
It was
the
horrible.
yeah, horrible. I mean, this was one of the most dramatic moments of my life, where the dad of the kid who almost drowned was screaming and was like, "How dare you? You were supposed to be watching the kids." And they're like, "What do you mean?" And then all of a sudden, the wives start getting involved, and we have like girl fights going on because the women are sticking up for their husbands and they're screaming. And I thought that people were going to get beat up. It was,
Yeah.
and I mean, tensions were high because then you have this child who is being comforted and screaming and crying. It was
Mhm.
just horribly traumatic, horribly traumatic. So this idea of adults in charge, it's important. And I feel like,
Yeah.
especially having a friend group that has so many children in it for so long, I mean, I was always aware of that. Of course, if I am watching a child, I am the
Yeah.
adult. You don't leave. Someone has to be there at all times. You
Yeah.
can't assume just because I'm not the parent, oh, it's fine and I get to walk away. No, like you take some
Yep.
ownership when you are around children, that
Yeah.
we all kind of take care of each other and we kind of tag team and make sure that everything's okay. So this mother walking away, leaving to go to the store, leaving this child alone for an hour and being like, it'll be fine. Your kid would never leave or do anything bad, which kids would do anything. Okay. We can't
Yeah.
say that kids would do one thing or another. To me, that is so negligent. She has no idea what could have happened. Somebody could not have knocked on the door, the front door, and the child could have opened it, could have been a total creeper. We have no idea what could have
Yeah.
happened when the mom was gone. She also could have just gotten hurt. She could have hurt herself.
Yeah.
I mean, there was times where I was a kid, it was so stupid. I stood on my parents' bed to get scissors from their dresser, because I wanted to make, do you remember when you would get kind of like string, what was it called, for like streamers, and you would take
Yeah, and make it
scissors?
curly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do that. I saw my mom do it earlier in the day and I really wanted to do it. So I snuck up there when nobody was watching me and I tried to, and I cut my finger open on
Oh my
scissors.
gosh.
Yeah. And then my mom comes in and she's like, "What happened?" And I literally lied. And there's no way she believed me. Okay. I said, "I was laying on the bed and there happened to be scissors there and they happened to cut my finger," because I was so
She's
afraid.
like, "Oh, okay."
Wow, that sounds scary. So Um, it's just like kids will do all sorts of things. People have to
Yeah.
be watching, it doesn't necessarily have to be life threatening. You can still get hurt and there has to
Yeah.
be somebody monitoring. So I don't think it's an overreaction to say, no, you are not a good caretaker for my child,
Yeah.
especially when you called her out and she just justified it. If there's no realization that she did anything wrong, absolutely not.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of it too comes from, like, how kids were raised. Like, they're I feel like, especially, like, our parents' generation, they were left my dad was leaving the front door 5 years old, riding his bike around town, right? And he knew to be home by the time the sun went down. Like,
Yeah.
that was the way they lived their life. So it's not necessarily surprising to me that this mom was like, "You're in the house, like, she's 5, why can't she run around?" Right? But to feel that way when the parent themselves so clearly doesn't feel that way and is more, I need someone to be watching my child, be attentive to my child. She clearly was like, "Will you watch her while I am in my Zoom
Yeah.
meeting for work?" Right? It wasn't like she just left and disappeared upstairs and there was no communication. Like she knew the mom's watching her while she's at work in her Zoom meeting. That's also a different thing. Like than being in the kitchen or in the living room watching TV while the 5-year-old, like, roams around downstairs. Like, I don't think that you have to be eyes on a 5-year-old at all times, but you have to be aware that there's a 5-year-old and, like you said, that you're the adult in charge, right? So that your brain is thinking about them. I think 5-year-olds can have, you can be in the kitchen cooking lunch or cooking dinner, and they can be in the living room, right? But you're talking to them. They're playing independently. You know where they are. You're aware of what they're doing and where they are. That doesn't mean 100% engagement, but being in a Zoom meeting, having no idea that your child is alone in the house by themselves, they're crying at your door and you're assuming the mom is going to come get them at any moment and they're not in the house. There's so many layers to that. I'd be like, you abandon her. She emotionally is like feeling like she's alone forever. She had no idea. She didn't know how to get in contact with me. And I didn't know my kid was by themselves. Like, there are so many things. So I would be pissed too, even if I was in a Zoom meeting and my mom sent me a text like, "Hey, I've left to go run an errand. Your kid's running around the house by themselves." I would be that alone, even with communication, would piss me off because it's like I'm literally in a work meeting. So like they don't value what they're doing and they don't think it's a big deal. But yeah, all around, you know, I would say you're not overreacting. She's saying like she doesn't really want them in her life anymore and that there's like deeper reasons for that and that this moment was kind of like a trigger for her for that stuff to kind of come up and I think that's valid. I think like when we experience things with our own kids um that remind us of trauma that we had in our own lives with those people, um I don't think that that's you overreacting to it as a trauma response all the time. Sometimes it can just be more information that you need, right, to be able to make the decisions moving forward, and you can never be too careful with your babies. So, yeah, I think you should trust your gut. That's what I think.
I agree. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
crazy.
Insanity.
Crazy. Mhm.
Well, are you ready to jump into our overshare moment?
Yes. Can you go first?
Oh, sure. I have a lot to
Okay,
say. Okay.
great.
So, guys, life's been crazy. This week has been especially crazy because if you guys have ever listened to my story on TikTok or on Heeldish, as you guys know, joined a cult, which was super exciting. Bethel, they believed in
Super fun.
glory clouds, gold dust falling from the sky in the middle of the auditorium,
Mhm.
shaking on the ground, being drunk in the spirit, treasure hunts, stalking people at Walmart and saying, "You're God's treasure." It was a
Oh
lot,
my
guys,
god.
right? So, anyway, basically, as you guys know, I got married because a false prophet in these circles said that God was giving me to my ex, and he called out where I worked. He said, "Oh, does she have anything to do with Tomato Pie Cafe? And God is giving you Jubilee." And turns out he got all of my information off of Facebook, and he is just this cold reading con artist guy in these
Yeah.
circles. So basically, Bethel has known, the cult that I was part of, they have known about this guy being a con artist for a very long time. And there was also sexual allegations against him from 10 to 12 of his past staff, of him doing inappropriate things in front of them when they were forced to be in the same room with him uh with for conferences. So anyway, Bethel continued to platform this guy, and not only that, they distanced themselves from him in 2020, never released a statement, but kind of like slow ghosted him publicly. But then in 2023, Bill Johnson, the head of Bethel, decided that he was going to do a joint appearance with him on TV and that he was going to promote his book and say, "Oh, this
Ah,
guy, he said the reason why I can promote this book and say that you should buy his book, Translating God, which is all about prophecy, is because he is such good character. And
oh my
that's how
god.
I know, because the character behind the book." He literally said those
Ew.
words. So, and this is after he knows about all the sexual stuff. So, for about a year now, I have been really just trying to raise awareness over a year, really, about Shawn Bolz and Bethel and all of that. And Bethel has done absolutely nothing. And some big YouTubers have gotten a hold of the story and they've been trying to force Bethel's hand to say something. And it hasn't worked for about a year until
Mhm.
it just did. It worked.
Yes. I was
So
hoping you would talk about this.
yes, so Mike Winger, which ha ha ha, Mike Winger, he believes some very interesting things. Me and this man do not agree on hardly anything. But I do appreciate that he is trying to call out abuse in the church. We do have that in
Yeah.
common. And we're actually texting. I think we're kind of friends now, me and
Okay.
Mike Winger, even though we agree on
Interesting.
nothing. He's been very nice. He's let me know that if I want to go to therapy, he would pay for it, which is crazy. I'm not
Whoa.
gonna take him up on that because I don't want.
Yeah, but, like
Yeah. I'm like, I bet it's Christian therapy, but also I don't want to accept
Yes.
anything. So, but I do appreciate the sentiment. So he has almost, I believe, 1 million subscribers on YouTube. He's a
Dang.
huge YouTuber. So he made a 6-hour expose against Bethel, saying everything that happened, the timeline, what Bethel knew, text message evidence, voicemails were leaked that a bunch of people, he talks about Patricia King, who's another big name. There was a voicemail, I believe, of her that got leaked. And yeah, now all of a sudden people care because he made a
Mhm.
video and started really pestering Bethel on their social media pages saying, aren't you going to respond? Aren't you going to respond? And they
Dang.
didn't at first. And then last Sunday, the one of the other heads of Bethel, Chris Valton, ended up responding in a horrible way. He was super gaslighty, super, well, what did everybody want me to do about it? Obviously warned people that this guy is a con artist because he was still
Yeah.
making so much money online and getting invited places. So um yesterday, there ended up being a sermon where the leaders came clean and they stood on stage and they said, hey, we hid this and we shouldn't
Damn.
have. And Chris Valton cried almost the entire time. And he said
Mm.
that he somehow had a change of heart. He said he had an encounter with God on Monday,
Mm.
and that he did not like the
Timely.
man. Yes, he did not like the man that he saw in the mirror, which is how I also felt is, well, that's timely that you
Mhm.
had that. Seems a little convenient, but I will say he came across the most genuine out of the 3 people that spoke. So he who he really reminds me of, Ken.
Tell
Okay,
me.
Crystal's dad.
Ew.
Very no, like, very similar vibes of, "Let's just sweep everything under the rug,"
Uh-huh.
but you just know that he thinks he's a great person. I
Yeah.
really believe that he, like, buys his bullshit, you know?
Yes, totally believes it. Yeah.
Whereas when it comes to Bill Johnson, the head of Bethel, I don't necessarily think he buys his bullshit. I think he knows that he's a bad person,
A
but
bullshitter? Yeah.
yeah, but I think that Chris Valton genuinely is just horrible with accountability and emotions, and he's just
Yeah.
bad at doing that. So he ended up apologizing and he actually admitted to things that people hadn't even accused him of. So one thing was that he said that he blocked one of the victims because one of the victims of Shawn kept reaching out to him for help, for accountability. And he said, I had a family member that was going through a divorce. Bill's wife had just got diagnosed with cancer. COVID was happening. I was overwhelmed. I was kind of going through like a mental health thing. And I was annoyed with him and I blocked him because I just didn't want to hear from him anymore.
Oh my
Um,
god.
and he didn't have to admit that. So, I mean, that's atrocious behavior. But I
Yeah.
was surprised that he admitted that. And then Bill Johnson came on stage and his apology was so much less genuine, in my opinion. And it's hard, guys, because you know how somebody commented on my post today because people are asking me to comment on it. And I pretty much said everything I'm saying now, where okay, they only came forward because they were absolutely forced. They didn't take
Yeah.
accountability because they wanted to take accountability. They took
Yeah.
accountability because they were getting canceled and there was no
Yeah,
other
they had
way.
no choice.
Yeah. And so does it feel super genuine? No. And also on the other hand, I know so many other cover-ups that have happened at Bethel and they've never come clean about any of those. So
Yeah.
I would love for you to talk about all the other people y'all have been covering for and all the other lies that you've been doing, and then maybe I'll believe that this is real, right? But somebody commented and said, "You're just never gonna be happy. You're just nothing they could ever say would please you." And you know what I was thinking,
Oh,
Kenzie? Maybe. Okay, because like, have you ever heard of the cult Nexium?
no.
Okay, so there was a cult, Nexium. I don't think it exists anymore. The guy ended up going to prison. It was a sex cult under the guise of a self-help type of organization, and it was absolutely
Okay.
horrible. There's been Netflix documentaries on it. And I was thinking to myself, well, I view Bethel as a cult. So if that guy got caught, the guy who is running the sex cult, and he's like, I'm sorry for doing all those bad things, but Nexium is still cool because it's self help. So forgive me.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be the head of Nexium, but I promise I'll stop abusing people. I
Yeah.
wouldn't buy that bullshit either. And
Yeah.
that's how I feel about Bethel. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're a cult. Like, that's, you're
Yes.
right that there's probably nothing that they could
There's
say.
nothing they can do.
Yeah, that would make me feel any better about that, especially because in Bill Johnson's statement, it was I just did not buy that he was really sorry, and he really brushed over the whole joint appearance and promoting Shawn very quickly. He said, "Oh, I was
Yeah.
invited to go on TBN and I agreed, and when I showed up, I found out that it was for Shawn's book, and I went through with it, and I shouldn't have done that." And to me, that is such a lackluster apology because
Yeah.
you said he had great character. You went on and on about how wonderful he is. And the truth, in my opinion, the truth
Mhm.
is that Bill is just a bad person and he doesn't give
Yeah.
a shit about any of this stuff. So you're never going to get the truth. The truth would be I promoted him because I don't care who's a fraud. you know,
Yes,
like
exactly.
I don't care who's like a good
Yeah.
person or a bad person. So that's why. But he's not going to say that,
Yeah.
So um and I will say one final thought is I've been approached by people who know Bill and know people who are closely in contact with Bill. And I know so many insider stories about this man that I could just never be convinced that this man is a good person.
Yeah.
But I am sworn to secrecy by lots of people who trust me with their stories and to protect their identities. But all I will say is
Totally.
I have big reasons to not believe that this man is legitimate, So
Yeah.
that's kind of what's been going on with me. I've had some people, they're asking how I feel. Do I feel healing about Bethel admitting it? I don't know, like some
Yeah.
vindication, I guess, of I've been saying this for a long time. And it's nice that the Bethel people who have been attacking me saying I'm making it all up now, they know that I haven't been because the leadership has
Yeah.
admitted it. But other than that, not really, you know,
Yeah.
not really.
Yeah, because it's also, like, not this like you said, there's no redemption that could be had that would really make it better. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, that's great that you have the vindication, and also these are still people that do these things and feel this way that were forced to a fake-ish apology, or maybe real to an extent to them in the moment, but also, like, you can never fully believe it. It's just, like it's almost, like, never gonna scratch the itch of the healing that you would need because it's not really possible in the bubble
Yeah.
of Bethel for that to even happen. So, yeah, it's like how I felt when Mike Bickle got exposed. It's like, cool. Like, I'm glad that happened. That needed to happen, but it's not like that it's not like I feel this weight of, "Okay, it's over, it's done." Like,
Mhm.
that's it, or whatever the feeling is that I guess you would wanna have. It's not quite ever that, is it?
No.
Like,
Mm-mm.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is
That's
my
crazy.
overshare. What has your
Yeah.
week been like?
Yeah. So we booked our wedding venue this week.
I was hoping you were gonna share about this.
We booked our wedding venue. Yeah, so okay, so Thursday night, um, we okay, this is kind of crazy how this happened. So for everyone who doesn't know, we've been planning our wedding for over 2 years now. Okay, we've been engaged for over 2 years. We've been planning our wedding for over 2 years. We've had multiple wedding dates that have been postponed. Some because of everyone always wonders, like, whenever I tell that to someone, like, out in the wild, you always know that they're like, "Oh, their relationship is on the rocks." But I've never thought that until I was like, "What is that deer in the headlights look?" And Luke is like, "They're trying to calculate whether or not, like, we have had an unstable relationship, and that's why we haven't gotten married yet." I was like, "Oh, that's what it is." First thing was finances. Um, Second thing was, family. So
Yeah.
we are queer, and we have really had a hard time, like, immensely 2 years long hard time of trying to figure out who we want to allow to be at our wedding because not everyone agrees with our relationship or the fact that we should be getting married. So we've kind of gone back and forth for a long time. And weddings are expensive, so we've had to try to figure out what kind of wedding we wanna have. But a big thing has been family. It's also been the thing that's kind of like both of these things, finances and family, have been these elephants in the room that we kind of rub up against, and we, like, just don't even talk about the wedding because it's like, it feels suffocating. It doesn't even feel joyous at this
Yeah.
point. Um, so on Thursday or okay, backtrack a little bit. We decided this year we're getting married in October, like, we have to get married, we're gonna do it, like, we wanna get married. Um, and we felt a little bit of breathing room, and then, months have gone by since we made that choice last year, and it just feels a little bit like, again, like, what if it doesn't happen? Like, finances don't just fall out of the sky. We gotta really, like, work at this and make this happen for ourselves, and it feels really stressful and not that fun, and scary, kind of scary. The family thing just still feels like it's not quite right. There've been some I came to a really good place of being like, "I'm not inviting any of my family to my wedding, it's just gonna be friends," and then, like, some moments have happened with family recently that I'm like, "'Kay, well, that puts a wrench in things," and, like, I'm not really ready to, like, talk about the details of that, but it's just a little bit of,
Yeah.
like, things that have been said to me that make me realize maybe I have been thinking people feel ways that they don't feel, and so now I'm a little confused, right? Like, there's this whole, like
Yeah.
so Thursday, Luca's like sends me a text in the middle of the workday, and he's like, "I can't wait to marry you." And I was bah humbug, so I texted him back, and I was like, "I feel like that's not ever going to happen. Like, I'm feeling like it's just never gonna happen, like, we're never gonna be able to do it." And so that night, we, like, went and we had a hookah. It was a really bad day. Like, it was just a really bad day. We had a hookah on Thursday night, and we got our kids back on Friday. And we were just sitting there, and he was like, "Well," we were kind of going back and forth on Airbnbs that we had talked about, and I was like, "I don't know, I just don't feel, like, super excited about it, like, it just feels like it's not exactly the right place," and he was like, "Well, we can look for other places," and I was like, "We've literally seen every single Airbnb in the surrounding areas of the city that we live in, like, we've seen them all. We've looked at all of them over the last 2 years." He pulls up his phone, and he goes, "I don't know that we've seen this one," and he sends me a text message, and I pull it up on my phone, and it's literally, like, everything I could have ever imagined wanting it to be
It's
because
perfect.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
And we were we want an Airbnb wedding. We wanted to have a place where people could come and stay if they choose, like, a weekend party. Like, everyone comes the night before. We get married the next day. We have brunch on Sunday morning, and then we, like, kind of,
Yeah.
like, go off into the rest of our lives. We want it to be like this sweet community friendship experience, right? And this place literally has, like, a house that has rooms for enough for everyone to stay in, and a big thing I was worried about because we're getting married in October is weather. I was like, "I wanna get married outside if we can, but it also needs to be a place that we can get married inside, and it's not gonna be, like, in this person's kitchen if the weather sucks and it rains," right? So this place literally has a main house with all of the bedrooms and everything, and then it has a barn that has a party reception area downstairs, and then upstairs it has a two-bedroom apartment with, like, beautiful lighting. It's, like, this beautiful wood, and I was like, "This is looks like an actual wedding venue. Like, this it looks like a
Yeah.
place where you get married." And so it's all on the same 7 acres of private property. So they allow weddings to happen there. There's no one is gonna be around, like, calling the cops because 'cause we're being allowed to late at night. There's a creek. It's in Wimberley, Texas, which is where my mom bought her house and lived for 13 years that I raised my kid's going to. It's our favorite city in the entire state of Texas, and it's right on the river. And I was like, it's literally like the most perfect thing I could ever possibly imagine. And so because Luca got this side job that he's working the weekends, he was like, do you love it? And I was like, I love it. And he was like, it's the one. And we were both emotional. We're crying just looking at it. And he literally puts down the down payment and he like showed it to me. He's like, it's booked.
Oh my
Ah.
gosh.
And it was like this moment of being like, and he was like, baby, I told you he said, baby, I told you I am marrying you this year. Like, we're getting married. And I was like, okay. And it was just this moment of like, something needed to happen, like something needed to feel like it was moving forward. And now I just feel like this huge weight is lifted and I can like confidently let the rest work itself out and kind of trust that the rest will work itself out because this did. So anyway, it was just like a symbolic feeling, also making the first big move, like the most important move. We had to find a place to get married. And we're doing it October 17th. We're getting married.
Guys, it's so
Yeah.
perfect. Kenzie texted to
It's
me and was like,
so
what do you think of
beautiful.
this place? And I was like, oh my gosh, it's absolutely perfect. And you had sent me a few
I
places and it
know.
was by
Yeah.
far the best one.
The
So
best.
I'm
Yeah,
so
I
excited.
know.
Wedding planning era. Let me know what you need.
Yes, I
And we'll
know.
do it. I'm so excited.
We're doing it. Thanks. So that's what I'm excited about.
Awesome. Well,
I'm sure you'll hear all of the wedding planning stuff, for the weeks to come.
absolutely.
Yay.
All right. Well, I think that is it for this week of the Overshare Hour. But guess what, guys? Right after this, we are about to go record our Patreon for this month.
What?
And because we missed it last month, it's actually going to be a double Patreon. So it's going to be 6 bonus stories of Reddit stories. So if you liked today, there will be even more Reddit stories on our Patreon that you guys can go and check out. And it's for $5 a month.
Yeah, and typically we do 3 stories, but again, this is going to be like extra long bonus. So we hope to see you over there, and we love you guys so much.
See you next week.
Bye. Bye.